board. She's going to get you sent, and we will get going. Let's come to child's pose. If child's pose isn't appropriate to begin your practice, you can lie on the back with knees to chest, but otherwise taking the shape of balasana, the pose of wisdom. Knees wide, big toes touch. You're welcome to make this comfy, cozy, adding support underneath your knees or underneath your head. And so we are just barely coming out of the new moon. The new moon, that point just as the exhale completely releases and the inhale begins. A annular solar eclipse, which is the ring of fire eclipse, the cauldron of transformation eclipse around the mind, around the magician, the shapeshifter. And the moon has just entered the cardinal water element, just beginning the waxing journey. And while the sun and other elements are very much still drawing us into the mind, into the air, into the ethers, into this sort of shape-shifting, timeline jumping, quantum exploring qualities around us, we are invited into the flow of breath. We are invited into the flow of blood and sweat and tears. Rather than looking up to the open, spacious skies and all the possibilities in the galaxy, we are invited back to our home of the womb, of the ocean, where all life begins. Take a deep breath in through your nose, fill your body up, your belly up, fill the kidneys and the back body up. Hold a little bit at the top, find some length in your spine. Open mouth, exhale, sink your heart closer to the earth, empty, empty, empty. Hold the exhale, sinking closer, closer, closer to Mama Gaia. And then again, as you inhale, let the breath fill belly, fill heart, fill back body. Find the length and spaciousness. And then open mouth, exhale, press third eye down, belly in, really sink back, exhale, 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 completely empty. One more time like that, inhale, fill, 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 fill the prana, the life force, the intelligence and energy coming in through the air. And then open mouth, exhale, we release, empty, clarify, ready to be received, ready to be taught. And then just connect to a natural breath on the next inhalation. Invite the breath to move like waves, like ocean waves rising and falling. You might start to feel a rocking through your hips, or rolling through the forehead. Some subtle, gentle pulses from the body, the way the current always has a flow, even on the calmest, clearest days at sea. So where do air and water meet? Where does the mutable air element of the mind dive into the nourishing, creative waters of the emotions? How do we allow the mind and the emotions to relate? How do we invite that synchronicity and symmetry? And just start to feel that in your breath, in your body, in your hips, in the kidneys. If it feels comfortable for you from child's pose, you can start to explore the side body, walking your arms over to the right, stretching out as you ground the left hip. Perhaps moving to the other side. So you can stay perfectly still. And if you're on your back, just explore some gentle rocking or circling through the hips. If you're in that balasana, maybe just playing here and walking to right and left, or perhaps threading one arm underneath. Just inviting some gentle spinal awakenings through the upper body as we start to create space in low body. So this new moon eclipse was in the nervous system, the lungs, the voice box, the hands, the arms. This particular moon that we've entered is in the chest and the belly. And so just start to feel where we can align these parts of the body, rocking, rolling, pulsing, creating little circles and waves. The water element invites more intuitive movement. And as always, this space is here for you. We'll take a couple more breaths, just settling into this first shape, the shaping element of water. Water shapes us. Drinking in the breath, inhales and exhales, the moon now gently waxing, the moon beginning to appear in the sky, activating this new lunar cycle. And anytime the new moon has that eclipse energy, it's not only creating the energy for the next month, but really for the next 6 months. So this energy is powerful and potential. Take another big breath in wherever you are. As you exhale, settle back to center, surrender towards earth. And then slowly roll up to your heels. If you're in child's pose, or go ahead and rock up. You can adjust the seat if it's not appropriate to be on your heels, otherwise sitting Vajrasana on the heels. Tops of the feet down, shoulders down. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards that first tiny little sliver of the waxing moon. Exhale, pull the hands down, hand to heart, hand to belly. We bow in to our own rhythms and cycles, the elements in the body and the breath, to whatever is unfolding at this time as we move ever closer to the summer solstice. And we will tone to this moon. We will invoke the energy of this moon. You can listen or hum, or you can join me in chanting Om Chandraya Namaha. We bow to the moon. Inhale. Om Chandraya Namaha. Inhale, reach up. If you're on Vajrasana, lift up onto your knees, stretch the hips up. As you exhale, sit back on the heels, sweep the arms behind you, forehead down, child's pose. Inhale, press down, lift up, lift the hips. Exhale, circle down. If you are not comfortable on the knees, you can just be in a comfortable seat. And then as you inhale, just take your hands behind you, lift your hips, exhale, forward fold. So just find this wave. You want to encourage the body to move in waves today with the breath. So if this wave is not appropriate for your body, find another. Waves are unique. If you've ever sat and watched the ocean and all the different waves, sometimes the waves come in sideways. They come from beneath. Just start to find that undulation, opening the hips, opening the heart, but moving with the breath. We really still want to temper that air element. Few more rounds. The next time you lift up, or if you're seated, just lift into your seat, lift up, open the chest. Exhale, right arm under left, eagle arms, or hold the shoulders. If you're up on the hips, you can start to circle your hips here. You can also do that from seated. You can add the elbows, circling the elbows and the hips here. Getting a little movement, mobility through the heart, the hips. Reverse the direction. And again, you can do this just from a comfortable seat if it's not comfortable to be on the knees. And then lift back up to center, lift the elbows, lift the heart, inhale. Exhale, switching sides. So notice which arm is on top, open the arms wide, bring it to the other. And again, move back into circles, circling hips, circling elbows. Maybe you sink back a little more into the hips. This time, warmed up a little bit. Open the chest. And then gently reverse when you're ready. Deep oceanic breaths. Lift yourself up, lift the elbows, lift the chest. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, circle it up. Exhale, place the hands down. Come to all fours or stay seated if that's more comfortable for you. Spread the fingers, tuck the toes, drop the belly, open the chest into cow. Exhale, round back to cat, push back to that child's pose again. Slowly roll it back up into cow, back into cat. So again, waves here. from seated or a tabletop. If you're seated, you can play with switching the cross of the legs or maybe bringing soles of the feet together if that feels better. Just to get a little energy moving through your hips as well. And then those of you who want a little more into the heart, as you come forward into cow, drop your hips down, lift your chest, exhale, then round back, push back. So it's almost like a little hybrid between up dog or cobra, but being very mindful of the back and not hyperextending through the arms. Just stretching hip flexors through heart. And you can absolutely stay with cow, cat, back to child's pose. If you want even bigger waves as you come forward into that heart opener, you can tuck the toes, lift up, downward dog. And then roll forward, lower to the knees, draw the hips, open the chest, exhale, push back, lift up. So listen to your body. Some of your bodies are ready to make bigger waves. Some of us are staying with those smaller, potent waves. Listen to the body, listen to the breath. And maybe something else wants to come in there. Maybe there's a different movement, a different shape. Maybe you take a big down dog heart opener and then gently lift back to child's pose. So when we're in the water element, we're in the realm of emotion. It's not a place of right or wrong or good or bad. It's feeling, it's sensing, it's allowing and witnessing. So as long as we have that safe container, we can feel that wild spectrum of emotions. So allowing the body to move through that with the breath, taking your time. And then you can either settle yourself back, child's pose, hold downward dog. Take a few breaths somewhere neutral. If you're seated, you can walk it forward into a forward fold from your seat. But water's never completely still, so there might be, again, a little rock, a little pulse. Inhale. Exhale. Bring yourself to ragdoll. Fold over the legs. Take your time. You're always welcome to grab blocks or a chair or anything to make this more supportive and accessible. The knees can bend, feet are about hip width distance, which is roughly 2 fists-ish. But be creative. Take the feet a little wider or closer if that feels good. Movement here or stillness or just that little pulse. Feeling into the calves and the hamstrings and the hips. Made it through another week, made it through the second eclipse, made it through the heart of the Mercury retrograde. Pause and give thanks. And then soften your knees, slow, delicious roll up to mountain. Feel your feet on the earth. Crown opening up towards that tiny sliver of the new waxing moon sky. Inhale, gather the arms up, right hand to left wrist, stretch up and over to one side. And then bring it up, switch. Inhale up. Exhale, hands to heart, just sit into a little bit of a chair. So more of a bar stool. A little bend in the knees, lift the chest, inhale. Keep the knees soft. Exhale, hands to the earth or blocks. Lift your heart. Step the right leg back. Lower the knee to the mat if that's okay, or you can keep the knee lifted. You can stay low here or circle your arms up towards the moon sky. Exhale, release down. Plant your hands and either step to all fours or downward dog. You can take that cat, cow, child's pose flow, or from down dog, roll towards plank, but then lower the knees to lower the hips, lower the body down to the belly. Gently roll up, cobra pose, and then press to the knees, child's pose or downward dog. You can lift the right leg up from tabletop or down dog, and then step right foot between the hands, back knee down, or again, keep it lifted. You can stay low here or sweep it up. Exhale, hands down, look forward, keep the softness in the knees, step the back foot in so the knees still have that soft chair. Lengthen up halfway and fold, and then sweep the arms up, sit into that chair, and then lift all the way up. Hands to heart. Inhale it up. Left hand to right wrist, pull up and over. Inhale up, right hand to left wrist, pull up and over. Inhale up, hands to heart, sit back, gentle chair. Inhale, exhale, knees soft, hands down, lift the heart, inhale. Exhale, left leg back, knee down, or keep it lifted. Stay low with the hands or circle it up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, bring it down and step back to all fours or child's pose, or push back to down dog. You can flow through that cat-cow or roll towards plank, knees down, chest down. Inhale, roll it up, Bhujangasana Cobra, elbows in. Exhale, push back, down dog, child's pose or all fours. If you'd like, you can lift the left leg to the sky or just gently step left foot forward, back knee down or keep it up, hands stay down or sweep it up. And then exhale, hands down, look up, step up, knees are soft, lengthen up halfway. And fold, bend into those knees, circle it up, and then push all the way up. Hands down to heart, one hand to belly. Look at your feet, widen them just a little bit wider than hip width distance. Soften your knees, start to circle the hips. Slow down the breath. So how wave-like can you make your breath? Really big inhale, flowing into exhale. Breath work, always our friend, but definitely through this next week, as we get towards the 22nd, we start to feel more and more of the dissipating of that air element. We're going to have more of this water energy coming in as we get closer to summer solstice. So that dissolution of air into water, from mind into emotions, from curiosity to caretaking. Reverse the direction. Soft knees, soft face. Feeling the warmth of your hands at your belly, at your heart. These are the areas ruled by the cardinal water element. And then gently bring it back to center. Pause. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold down. Soften the knees as you lengthen up halfway. Exhale, fold right leg back. Lower the knee if that's all right. Keep the right hand down, left hand to the thigh, left thigh, or stretch it up. Dragonfly. One of my favorite air twists. Take a breath in. Exhale, release. Circle it up, Anjaneyasana, or hands can stay at the thigh, lifting the chest. Open up through the heart. Option here to come back into eagle arms, right arm under left. You can also hold the shoulders. Breathe here as you sink into that lunge. Open up through the hips, through the heart. Big inhale. Exhale, release, hands to the earth, look forward, slide that back foot up and fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Step that left leg back, knee down or keep it lifted. You can also pat it. Left hand down, right hand to right thigh, or rotate open. Maybe reach right arm up, bringing out the heart. Exhale, top hand down. Sweep it through center, or keep your hands on your thigh. Breathe here, and you might stay here and just enjoy the heart and hip opening, or bring that left arm under, right, or whatever side you didn't do. Maybe holding the shoulders, maybe bring the hands together. Can you lift through the elbows as you sink into the hips? Soften the jaw. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Pause, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and then walk your hands towards the midline. Turn your feet wide for wide leg forward fold. Hands can be under shoulders, or absolutely grab onto your chair or your blocks or your props here. Lengthen up through the spine, sit back into the hips. You can stay lifted, or you can start to fold in. And you can explore, you can play with a little Skandasana, shifting to the side lunge, bending one knee, straightening the other. You can add just a little pulse, maybe shaking out the head, using this as more of a release for the upper spine. So again, you can be a little creative, a little intuitive here. Really good grounding pose after that air eclipse though. So now that we've got the legs and the hips all warmed up, just sinking into that release and that spaciousness through the kidneys, through the hips. Slow down the breath, adding anything that just feels good, right? So we're in that realm of emotions, of sensing, of feeling. This is a feminine energy, which has nothing to do with a gender identification. We all have this feminine, receptive, lunar, watery quality in ourselves. And so allowing it to be seen and felt. Couple more breaths. Take a big, big breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Walk the feet in just a little bit. Turn your feet out. Bend the knees, slide your elbows to your thighs. So you might need to adjust your stance to do that. And lift the chest here. You can also bring the hands down if it's too much to have the forearms down, and press your hands into your thighs. Sinking into a temple squat. Rocking here, again, either on the forearms, which is a little bit deeper, or on the hands. And then just let your right shoulder come to center, twist to the left. Sit back into the hips. And then roll that left shoulder down. And then just flow through this a little bit, or again, if this is too much, you can just pause at center. So if you're on your forearms, it can be really intense to press that forearm down and then roll open. So listen to the body. Keep sitting back into the hips. And then pause at center, and then roll it on up. Sweep the arms up in that 5-pointed star, big stretch. Exhale, hands to heart, bend the knees back into temple. Sit back into the hips, open the heart. And again, just find a little pulse, little rock. Breathing up and down the spine. That conduit between the earth below us, the sky above us, the water energy in the hips, the pelvis, the kidneys. Take another big, big breath in and side out. Inhale, sweep it up, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart, heel, toe, or hop your feet back together. Give it a little shake. Shake out any tension in that nervous system. Release the muscles. Shift the body back to facing forward on the mat. And then take the feet about as wide as the mat. Soften your knees. Roll the shoulders back. Clasp the hands behind you. The knuckles can rest on the sacrum as you roll your chest up. Bend the knees, bring belly towards thighs, and then pour the heart forward. The hands can stay resting at the sacrum or clasp the hands and start to draw the knuckles up, but keep a bend in your elbows and soften through your face. You might bend the knees a lot to get that opening through the heart, through the chest, as we settle back into the hips. Soften the jaw. Big breath in. Exhale, release the hands down, rock it out. And then turn your toes out, lower into Malasana. You can sit on a block or just bring your bottom down between your heels if the knees aren't comfortable here. Opening the heart, breathing into kidneys, back of the lungs, chest and hips. So all those areas being activated right now, sun and moon. Again, you can find that little wave, rocking, sighing, checking in. Inhale. And exhale, carefully shift back to your bottom. Bring the soles of the feet together. You can sit up on a blanket or pillow. Press the feet together, grab onto the ankles, lift up. Add some little circles. A lot of circles when we've got the water element. Creating lubrication through the body, moving us more to that right brain, intuitive, creative, lunar part of the brain. Just letting go into this. It can be little movement, big movement, but let it start down in your pelvis and your hips and start to spiral up and around. So if you think about like a seashell, right? That sacred spiral that comes from the sea. Breathing into it. And don't forget about the head. A lot of times when we're doing our spiral movements, we kind of get them down in the belly and the hips, and then we lose them as we get up more into that air realm, right? So just try to let it even move up through the crown of the head, that spiraling. And then gently reverse your direction. Take your time to find the flow. It's like the current, right? Like if you ever did that when you were a kid, or maybe as an older person where you've been in like a hot tub or like an above ground pool, and if you walk enough times in one direction, right, you create that current, and then you can kind of like float in it. And then if you try to switch it, right, like that's the law of water, right? We go with the flow, and we can create that current, but then shifting that direction. So the body, we're 70% water. Our cells are primarily water. We are the water element. We're all the elements, but we are water. We know that, right? Water is life. Then bring it back to center, and you can draw the heart forward. Just take a couple breaths, shake out the head. And then climb on up, take the hands behind you, roll your chest up. Option to lift the hips, stretch it through the hips. You can open the throat or tuck the chin. Inhale, exhale, bring it down. Pull the knees in, and we're gonna open the legs up into wide legs seated. Make sure you have plenty of space. So however in your home practice area you need to do that. I have to kind of like angle myself in my little studio here, right? But just make sure, so start with the legs extended and just make sure you feel balanced up on the pelvis if you need to add. So if you feel like you're rounding forward or back, then put something underneath your hips so that you feel like you're on the sit bones and your spine is lifted. It's fine to have the knees bent, but we do want the toes sort of reaching up. We are going to draw the right leg in to start, but I wanted you to just kind of orient yourself We're still in Gemini season. We need that balance between right and left. So drawing the right heel in, you can add support under the right thigh. That might just make it a little more cozy if you add that support. And then reach the arms up and stretch the left arm down the left leg, right arm overhead. And then bring it up, take the right hand down, reach up and over, and just find this little flow. And so if you have the support under the right thigh, then just keep it cozy. If you want a little more, when you come to the right, and you can also just be mindful of how your blanket's set, you can always come up onto the right knee and lift up into a little Parsvanavashisthasana. So just be mindful that if you want that extra energetic opening, maybe only have the blanket under the knee a little bit, or move it out of the way until we hold, or just stay with that extra support. Just making that wave. Good. The next time we stretch over the left leg, we're gonna hold. So if you wanna slide that prop under the right thigh, right arm can be up and overhead. It can be on the right thigh, it can be behind the back. If you are someone who's interested in the right hand holding the left toes, you can take the left hand and work into the right hip and start to roll the chest open. A lot of variations in our Parsvanavashisthasana or Parsva-Upavishta, depending on who you talk to in the Hatha yoga world. My favorite little yin trick here to bend my left arm and prop my head up on it. We can still rock and pulse. Big breath in. Exhale it out. Slowly start to roll yourself up. Right hand outside the right hip, stretch that top arm over. Again, option to shift any props and lift up. Open the chest. Big breath. Not gonna hold this side as long. Exhale, bring it down. And then you have the option here, I've been kind of doing this all week, where we'll start to shift towards that right knee, slide the left leg behind, and then orient the body towards pigeon on the right side. If that is too much, keep the legs as they are and just fold between the legs, okay? So you can just fold forward between the legs and you're gonna get that opening, not as intensely, or walk your hands towards that right knee, let that right knee point towards the mat, slide left leg behind you and shift into pigeon prep. And that blanket can go under the right hip or the back knee. You could also take a sleeping pigeon if you feel like the half Upavishta is not enough for hip opener. And let yourself rock and pulse and breathe. Any variation here, we're just having that right leg, in our hip opener, whether legs are whether we're in that wide leg variation or your version of pigeon or swan, again, depending on who you're talking to in the Hatha yoga naming pose world. Breathe, come back to oceanic breath. So what I like about any of these variations is that we are accessing the hips and the kidneys, which is the water areas in our energetic anatomy lines, our meridian lines, our chakra lines. So as you're breathing those ocean waves into low belly, it can allow them to move into the back body, the kidneys resting just underneath that bottom rib. Place of gentleness and trust, which feeds into the Svadhisthana chakra, the sacral chakra, place of vulnerability, emotion, intuition. sensuality. So being gentle with ourselves and others this weekend, honoring, the need to care for ourselves first so that we can care for others, especially as we're trying to process and digest and begin to really feel those psychic downloads or, dissolving delusions that were coming through this eclipse, dizzying dreams, or, all the different ways, little tastes of new visions, new possibilities, new timelines. Quite an exciting, time to be alive, really, which is why I'm sure we're all here, but it's a lot, it's intense. Take a big breath in. Empty it all out. And then start to lift yourself up. So if you're in pigeon, you may just roll to that right hip and then rotate the body back into Upavishta. If there is a safer, more efficient way for you to get back here, then please honor that in your body. And you might even just take a moment to fold forward, draw the hips back. And then lift up, take your right hand behind the right hip, left hand to right knee, and gently twist here. You can point the left toes, draw the belly in. Another nice twist for the upper spine, that air element. It's okay if the left hip lifts a little bit here as you twist to the side. Big breath in. And unwind. Slide that right leg out long. So if you need to draw the knees in for a moment, that's fine. And then come back into that wide leg. So once again, we want to make sure the pelvis is neutral, the toes are up, we feel supported here. And then we're going to draw the left leg in. Okay, so we're going to repeat that sequence on the other side. So if you were using any props, just make sure you have them nearby. Up on the sits ones, we're going to find that side body flow first. So reaching that right arm down, left arm over, and then take that the left hand up behind you, right arm up, and then right arm down. Following the breath. If you want to add that little extra balance, heart opener as the left hand comes behind you, lift up onto left knee, tuck the tailbone, reach up and open. And then slide it back down. You can even just do that, once or twice and then keep your hips down. That's a lot on your shoulders. And just find that little flow. And then the next time we come to the right, let's go ahead and hold our side bend. So if you want to add that support under the left leg, you can reach left arm over or left hand behind you, all those same variations on side one. Obviously, side two is a little bit of a different experience. So feel, sense, adjust into this space. And then gently roll it up. Left hand behind left hip, right arm up and overhead, or you might lift up onto that left knee. Open everything up, big stretch. And then circle it down. So just as before, we're going to move into a variation of a hip opener here. Keep it simple, keep the setup, and just walk forward. That's going to open up that left hip more gently, but you're still going to feel that there. Or just start to shift left knee over to the left, right leg behind you. Or if you want to go ahead and take that left foot over the right thigh and roll yourself down, you can come into whatever version of pigeon works. Or just try folding forward into your Parshva Upavishta. And slow, deep ocean breaths. Feeling into the difference between side one and side two. Connect to that kidney awareness in the back body. As you breathe into your hips and low belly. Releasing the mental energies of the past couple of days. And spring dissolves towards summer. And so the summer solstice is coming up on June 20th. So as I said, once we're past Monday, we start to really ease more into the watery energies. But it's important to be gentle, to be nourishing, get lots of water. Couple more breaths. Big breath in and side out. And if you're in pigeon or any other hip opening variation, just be really mindful with how you might shift the weight to the left and then roll kind of the pelvis back to neutral. And just like I said, if there's a more effective way for you to do that, please listen. And we'll just take a moment to kind of fold between that bent left leg and the extended right leg. And then walk it up. Left hand behind you, right hand to left knee, gentle twist. Lengthening up through the crown as you draw belly in. Inhale. Exhale, unwind. Let's see if we can keep those legs wide just a little longer. Slide the left leg out. And if you need to shake the legs out a little bit or wiggle, go ahead and do that. And if this is too much, you can always come back to bound angle. Otherwise, lift the chest. You can take the hands behind you and then fold through center. You can put blocks under the head or the arms. You can rock the hips here a little bit. You can do some of those circles or kind of like little cat-cows. The low back's feeling tender at all. Roll out the feet. And again, you can always bend the knees. Whenever we do our forward folds, you can always bend the knees. And just settling here. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. Let that blood flow all the way to the tips of the toes. Lengthen through the spine, so kidney awareness still here. How deep can you make your breath? Big inhales and exhales. Inhale. Exhale. Roll yourself up. Carefully, hands behind the knees, draw the legs in. Ah. So I want to invite you to take the next 2 minutes just to see if there's any other movement or stretch the body needs. And then we're going to take a good like 5-6 minute Shavasana, which can be legs up the wall. It can be reclining bound angle. It can be meditation. But give yourself the next, so when we're in the water element, we want to allow that intuitive movement. So if you don't know, you can just set up for Shavasana, but otherwise just take a moment, maybe rock a little bit, just see if the body wants another cat cow or down dog or bridge or anything that is reasonable, right, for where we are right now. Just listening to that. And then if you have props or things that you can bring in to have a really nice few minutes of a supported relaxation, then gather your comforts for that. And slow it down. And I'll let you know in about a minute here when it's time that I'd really love for you to be in Shavasana. But even then, if you want to keep moving, and then do meditation or do your relaxation later, then that's your practice. We are still in the inspiring energy of that barely, new moon. And like I said, that Gemini mutable air signature is with us a bit longer here, and it is sort of setting the overtone for the next several months. And then it will transition just like everything does. This too shall pass. Okay? Even the most intense energies and elements pass. Even the most air dominated season will transition to water, and then water will turn to fire, and fire will turn to earth. And that is the nature of things. And the moon practice is the reminder that we are constantly changing, and yet we remain whole. We were just talking about, humans trying to understand and explain the phenomena around us, right? Like that's like been our jam for thousands of years. Like, how do we explain phenomena? So we just make stuff up most of the time. We just like made things up. And even now it's made up based on what we know, and it's continuing to change and evolve. And it's part of the richness of humanity that we can make up stories and we can use our senses and explore. But really, the moon is our closest confidant. And while so many of the other movements of the universe, feel big and out of control, the ally of Grandmother Moon has been with us for millennia. The first calendars were tracking this movement of the earth. And, the seasons vary depending where you are on earth, and yet the moon is the same. The moon is the same, and she teaches us and has taught us and how we learn about ourselves and our cycles and nature. So always just honor yourself for tuning in, especially during these more intense moon days and times, listening to that whisper of intuition and wisdom that the moon inspires, but is a part of all of us and has been. It's part of ourselves, just like water, just like air, fire, earth, space. And so if you're not already in Shavasana, and you would like to spend some time there, please make your way. Maybe imagining that little sliver of the new moon smiling down at you, beaming from your crown, kissing your third eye, gently caressing your throat, your heart, nestling into your solar plexus, your low belly, all the way down to the root of the pelvis. Feeling the tailbone sink into Mama Earth. Feeling ancient roots reach down into the earth. Held from below, graced from above. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. For a few moments, receiving the nourishment from earth and moon, the blessings of the barely waxing water moon, letting everything else go. The invitation is always open to stay in rest. Otherwise, become aware of the breath. The body is at rest in your sacred space. Let the breath move in waves from the toes to the crown to the fingers and toes. As the breath deepens, the body might respond, wiggling, shifting, making small circles. Or perhaps you stay in this cocoon space and just gently curl into a fetal pose. And yet we allow the unfolding from the practice, rocking, rolling. And if and when we choose, we might revisit our seat. You can place hand to heart, hand to belly, adding a little rock and sigh. We'll close with 3 sounds of Om. The first Om filling your cup, second Om as an offering out, and our third Om for our Mama Earth and Grandmother Moon. You can also just listen or hum. Inhale. Allow an inhale to draw hands to prayer. You can begin to rub the hands, create heat and energy. And on an exhale, offer left hand, left palm up, right hand, right palm down, connecting to our virtual moon circle, near and far, live and replay. Take a deep breath in. As we exhale, hands to earth and we bow. All blessings be. Thank you, my friends.